So you've made it to the finale. Well, now that the contest modifier is off, things should hopefully be a bit easier, but let's figure out this whole deception thing. Team composition is heavily favored towards Well of Radiance Warlocks as of the release of the raid due to low power levels. As we increase in power level, the reliance on Warlock healing will go down and more flexible group options will become available, but they are still really nice for damage phases. If you're struggling a lot, Wells of Radiance will help a ton paired with Phoenix Protocol or Lunafaction boots. Ideally, you should have a good primary for basic enemies, a good special for killing wizards and ogres, and a power that can deal good boss damage. Those weapons include Recluse or any well-rolled hand cannon or SMG or anything well-rolled at all, Mountaintop, Lord of Wolves, or any good shotgun, and your choice of power weapon, Prospector, maybe Acreus, definitely some damage testing to be done. I've seen a post about swords being good for part 1 of this encounter, but my raid team tested and they didn't seem too impressed. Outbreak Perfected proved quite worthy as a damage option for part 2, but only if the majority of your team is using it. A double grenade launcher setup with Mountaintop and Prospector works very well for part 2's boss damage phase, but I understand not everyone is going to have Mountaintop. First, let's talk about the layout of the room. The room is split into 3 sections, and yet again, you'll be splitting into groups of 2, so you might as well keep the same ones from earlier unless you need to change something. We called them left, middle, and right at the start, but eventually just started using player names to make callouts. There are also 3 vessels that are placed on the dividing lines of the room. These lines will become walls when the fight starts in part 1, which is why you need to split into groups. In part 1, the vessel you use will be to your right when facing the stairs in your section. You'll start the fight with 3 Ghalran's deceptions, 1 in each section of the room. 2 of these are fake deceptions and will disappear when the fight starts, and then 1 of them is a real deception. Where the real deception is appears to be random. The fight starts when you attack one of them. If you're the team with the real deception, you will essentially have a completely immune Cabal Gladiator on steroids following you around the entire time, and you'll need to keep moving to stay away. At lower power levels, probably about 718 or lower, you will get one-shot by one of its attacks, but anything above 720 should not be a one-shot. You can also just stand on some pillars that are too tall for it to reach you. You are the last group that the team will reach, but you can both shoot at whatever enemies you want since the game never gives you access to the blessing buff until the damage phase. If you're the team that starts with the Witch's Blessing pool, only one of you should get the blessing, and then you'll have some adds that will be similar to the first encounter. Wizards can only be killed by non-blessed players, Thrall by blessed. You'll have 2 waves of each, 1 wizard and a few Thrall, and then another wizard and some Thrall. The third wave is an Ogre and 5 Thrall, all of which need to be killed by the blessed player. By the way, if you don't have access to the blessing and you don't have the deception, you can just kill stuff on your side, no problem. Using a super here is not bad. If you have rally barricades, rifts, use them because you're on your own here killing the ogre. Once the ogre dies and the next team is ready, head to the vessel that is active. Again, it'll go clockwise. What you'll do here is pass the buff to both your battle buddy and someone on the other side. This way both sides have someone with the buff and you can kill adds. When you use the vessel in this way, the wall between these 2 groups will break down and you can assist each other just in case. After this next wave, you'll do the same thing again, but this time everyone in the raid team should get near the next vessel for a total of 2 blessed and 4 non-blessed, converting into 4 blessed and 2 non-blessed. Once this happens, the other wall will break and everyone can regroup for the damage phase. The deception has an immunity shield similar to how a crystal works. A blessed and non-blessed person need to coordinate an attack on the boss at around the same time to break the shield. This means the 4 blessed players need to coordinate an order of attack because breaking the shield using your melee will cause your buff to drop, and once all of the buffs drop, damage ends. There have been instances where buffs did not drop based on certain criteria, but I'm going to leave all of that out right now until more information is gathered on that. So, Blessed Player 1 and any non-Blessed player run up to the boss and both punch at the same time, or shoot at a very close range. I recommend punching. This will break the shield, allowing non-Blessed players to deal damage to the boss. When the shield comes back, Blessed Player 2 walks up, punches with the non-Blessed, and so on until all 4 buffs have been used. Be careful, as players with blessings who are too close when removing the Deception shield may have their buffs removed for being too close. If you are blessed and waiting your turn, use your time to kill any roaming thrall and stay away from the boss, as anything not killed by the end of the phase will be immune to most people, and while they aren't going to stop you from progressing, they're annoying to deal with regardless. After the Deception's shield returns and there are no buffs left, everyone should make their way back to their sides, because after about 10 to 15 seconds, the walls will close again and the fight repeats itself until the Deception dies. The biggest piece of advice I can give for this fight is make sure things die as fast as possible. Everything spawns in a predictable pattern, small adds can die almost instantly, and crowd control is key for those ogres. Then, clear comms for boss damage and make sure you don't waste any buffs. Once you have that down, the big boys are coming out to play. Technically, it's just one big boy, but you don't know which big boy it is yet. This fight is a culmination of everything this raid has had to offer. It takes literally everything from all previous fights, puts them together, and then adds a little bit more to it, and then adds a boss damage phase on top of that. First, keep your teams of 2 in place. The pool will spawn by the raid banner, so when you're about to start the fight, stay clear of that area. One person from each section should be grabbing a buff, that way you stay 1-1. To actually start the fight, you shoot Ghalran in the face a little bit, then you'll grab your buff and split into your groups. The walls do not close on you this time. Ghalran is a stationary boss. There will be 3 copies of him, 1 in each region. He shoots fireballs continuously throughout the fight that are slow but track. You can get close to him and he will not melee attack you. In fact, being close to the boss means the fireballs will just go over your heads, but the trade-off is that you have 0 cover from all of the other adds, and you're much farther away from your teammates should they need help. Void Crystals, they're back, and they'll spawn every so often in each section going clockwise. They also have a shield around them, which means you need to get up close to them in order to break them. They spawn every so often for the whole fight unless you're in the damage phase, and even sometimes right before the damage phase, so get used to them. At first, they have a pretty generous timer before they explode, but as the fight continues, it felt like they exploded a little faster. These need to take priority since they're an instant wipe if they explode, but sometimes getting something else done first will be more important. Let's take this boss from the top. This boss is all about clear communication and target priority. It isn't the same as something like Spire of Stars where there's an order, because everything is happening at once. Grab your buff and head to your side. If you're blessed, you'll be killing knights. If not, killing thrall and acolyte. The knights are not a joke at lower levels and can one-shot you, so those at lower levels, I'd recommend playing a bit further back, although locking them down with stagger via shotgun damage is also an option, just a risky one. You'll have 3 knights spawn in total, but by the time the 3rd one spawns, you'll need to switch your buffs, so keep that in mind. Most of the time, it'll be 2 knights killed, swap buffs, kill 3rd knight, and then the non-blessed player will kill an ogre that spawns. You'll also have a blessed cursed thrall spawning too, which should be taken care of immediately. You can bait them into exploding by just jumping over them or getting close, just don't get too close. After the 3rd night is when you'll either get an ogre to spawn, or you'll get a deception to spawn, and that's where things change a little bit, with cursed thrall also popping up. Again, at low power levels, the deception is incredibly lethal, so be careful. The objective of the deception here is to be killed by Ghalran himself. So how do you make that happen? Well, after your deception is spawned, Ghalran's hand will glow green after unleashing a fire blast attack. Shooting his hand while it's green with enough damage will cause him to slam the area directly in front of him, right up to the stairs, with a giant sword. You need to plant your deception within the path of this sword so that it gets killed. Fortunately, when you break the shield of the deception, It'll stand still for long enough that you can make this happen. To break the Shield of the Deception, it's the same as the last fight. A blessed and non-blessed player need to melee or shoot it around the same time. My team found meleeing worked a bit more consistently, and when power levels are higher, it'll be very easy to do it. The issue at lower power levels is that you get one shot. The strat that I was taught was to have both teammates jump up at the same time as he is attacking you to dodge the attack. Then as you're coming down, melee to get closer to the ground and hit him at the same time. This worked very well for my team once we got a rhythm going, but again, as soon as you're above 725, 730, you don't need to worry about this as much. So the final part of this equation is just kiting the deception to the right spot and then meleeing to break the shield, which is in the middle of the upper stairs area. Pretty easy to kite them. Have both players be in between Ghalran and the deception, and just wait for the deception to lock onto one of you, then jump when you need to. Immediately after it is stunned, one player should monitor Ghalran's hand to shoot. The sword slams down, and we're moving on. Here's a live example of that in action.
Oh, my ogre. Can I have help on my ogre?
Trying to.
I have 2
Yes,
bullets
one
left.
moment.
Crystal,
That's my last
Crystal.
bullet.
I got him.
Sneak swap.
Yep.
Good.
Arm mark.
We got our guy.
Right, switch, mark, switch. I have no ammo, man.
Oh my god, man.
That's fine.
I don't have a res.
I do.
Slayer, give me. Sorry, Sith, give me a buff.
I don't. Okay.
Okay.
Sneak, you shoot.
Coming.
I'll res. Never mind. He's alive.
More go with
We get
Ron.
him
More
buff
go with
soon.
Ron.
Toes and I have a crystal.
Yep.
Green.
One
I
down.
get that. Oh, I got it.
Shit.
Our guy's dead.
The next issue here that a lot of teams will run into is forgetting to rebuff Witch's Blessing. When you get rid of the Shield of a Deception, you lose your blessing. When this happens, you need to ask what team is swapping buffs soon so you can regain the blessing, or you can stand in a vessel area and have a blessed player shoot it from the outside of the circle. Not having the blessing when you're supposed to will definitely screw up runs. You should have 3 people with the buff going into the damage phase. When each side has killed a deception, that's our cue to trigger the damage phase. Each copy of Ghalran will have their hands glow green and start lifting towards his head. You, not wanting him to do that, will shoot both hands with your teammate. One person shoots left, the other person shoots right. When that concentration is broken, you will then shoot him in the face. Once you deal enough damage, you will either cause the copy to vanish completely, or you'll find the real Ghalran. After finding the real Ghalran, you should do another vessel swap so that you all have fresh buffs and don't need to worry about swapping in the middle of the damage phase. Then, you'll repeat the hands to head attack and shoot him in the forehead for a brief time, then repeat the hands to head 2 more times. This is your damage window, so use everything you have. There will also be thrall spawning every hands to head phase. You should get rid of them if you have the blessing. Then, after 3 phases of that, he'll go completely immune. You and your team reset your buffs again, making sure you're back to your 1-1-1 split, and repeat until the boss is dead. There is an enrage timer after the 3rd damage phase, so you don't have many phases to do this. Here's another live example.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, we're good.
There we go.
Okay. Hands.
There we go.
Do we need
Hands.
to swap?
Do we need any buffs? Swaps?
Yeah,
I
more
should-
come here. Let's
I
just
need
swap.
one.
Let's just swap more.
I need one.
Okay, well,
Right,
come here.
Slayer, you don't? Yeah.
Sneak, you don't have a buff. Okay.
Crystal on us.
No, I
toes.
don't.
Yep, up
Crystal
there.
on us.
Hands, everybody, hands. Face. Okay, DPS is on me and Morky.
Oh, well.
After this one, we'll trade, so.
Other aim for thrall.
35. Slayer.
Okay. Time look for that.
25.
Mork, we going after this?
Yeah.
Go to our plate now.
Go now.
New
After
ads,
the
new
next
ads.
one,
Okay.
we'll go to Sith's Slayer.
Okay.
Oh,
We just
sorry.
used it, so be
Datto, do
careful.
I need to go with you or no?
Yeah, we'll be fine. We'll be
No,
fine.
I
go
tried to
to
get
them.
one. They went too fast. I should have called it out. Sorry.
Now, Slayer.
Coming.
New
Good
ads,
hands.
new ads.
Fair. Oh, I did get it. Never mind. I'm the best.
I got well.
Well, guys,
I'm
thank
gonna-
you.
This entire fight is a shouting match of information the first time through. There will be crystal callouts, swaps, deception timings, cries for help, and much more. It will be tough to keep comms clear, but you should try your best to avoid unnecessary information callouts. Keep eyes on those witches' blessings and make sure you're always refreshing your buff. There is never a reason not to refresh your buff if you have idle time. All ads dead? Refresh. Keep refreshing those buffs. This fight is pandemonium the first time, but eventually you'll get a rhythm and knock it down. Thanks for watching, and good luck.